I'm happy to start if everyone is here. My name is Anat, and Karina is a graduate of our program, and she was kind enough to join me so you can hear testimony about the program and get your answers from a student as well. I see not everybody is on camera, and it's always nice to see their faces. So if it's okay with you, it helps me because then I remember you better when we communicate. Hi, Rachel. A little bit about the program, and I've prepared a small presentation for you guys. Everyone can hear me well? Mm-hmm. All right, so, okay, I'll start with a little background about me, so you'll know who you're talking to. I'm actually the coordinator of the program in the past 2.5 years. And I love my job here at Tel Aviv University. I love the university. I am also a graduate of the program. So I do know the program inside and out. So throughout the year, when you talk about specific issues, it's always good to know that someone understands exactly what it means. Karina, would you like to talk about yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a recent graduate sorry, I was looking at Barden. I'm a recent graduate of the Security and Diplomacy program last year. This past year, I actually spent writing my thesis for on like the incorporation of cybersecurity measures at seaports. So like as seaports are incorporating more advanced technologies, how are those policies adjusting to the emerging vulnerabilities? And during my studies, I had an internship at the Cyber Research Center on campus. And now I'm working as a marketing associate for this company in Tel Aviv called SOSA. It's an open innovation company that like bridges the relationship or the supply and demand for tech solutions for cities, governments, corporations, and they're operating the Cyber Research Center in New York City. So
I just want to tie into what Karinna just shared about two things before I will go to the presentation I prepared for you. During the year you're here at Tel Aviv University, we make an effort to help you find different internships because we highly in this program believe that academics goes side by side with your professional lives. I think all of our professors, maybe except one or two, are also people who come from the professional side of things as well. So when you meet our professor for modern diplomacy, you will meet someone who is actually is meeting with diplomats, is advising in these areas. So it's very hands-on. I will go into more detail about other aspects of the program, but this year will allow you to also experience a little bit of what the world post your degree will look like. And I mean, Karinna is a great example of how it can really work. This year, they all started with wonderful internships, and of course, Corona kind of messed us all up. But let me start with a presentation. Before I start, does anyone have a question at this point? Okay. I'm going to share the screen and have you guys think that's okay. We'll start with our Ambassador Forum. Ambassador Forum is happening during usually the first semester. This year it might be the second semester. We probably are going to switch all the field trips and the diplomatic form to the second semester, just because we want to make sure that we have no corona bothering us. So this is the Jordanian ambassador to Israel, and he was hosted by Dr. Shiftan, our professor, and we had a whole almost 2 hours of listening to him and opportunity to learn about his efforts, diplomatic efforts from the other side of the Jordan, the Jordan River. I have here an example of this year's calendar, the schedule and the way it looks. And just for people to know that we are studying from Monday through Thursday. We start at 1:15 and end usually at 6:45. Some of the days you're not going to have a full schedule. It depends on the seminars you're going to choose from. But the reason we have the mornings open for you, there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the fact that some would like to take some languages, and usually the languages are taught in the mornings. And also for those of us who are doing the internships, it allows a couple of days a week in the mornings, frees you to be able to work and experience. Let me show you the other schedule. This is the summer semester, which is, of course, the shortest one. And we are having meetings twice a week for each of the subjects you'll take. Some people will not have a seminar during the summer because they already finished all their obligations in the first and second semester. What we do have, though, is the Middle East crisis simulation, which is really, in a way, wrapping up everything we learned throughout the year. We have a special professor coming from Europe to teach us, and it's a lot of fun. I've also gathered some pictures because I always think that the visual will make it. This is a visit we had a few years ago in an airbase, an Israeli airbase, and these are students, meeting with the pilot and listening to some interesting stuff. Israeli army and especially the Air Force is considered to be one of the best in the world. This is a picture that we took when we were on a tour, a guided tour. These are all guided tours that are led by a colonel in the Israeli army. And we see a great benefit for all of you to actually come to the borders and see the distances and understand the complexity, etc. So this is a view of the old city of Jerusalem, This is another one from that beautiful trip, and these are the gates and the wall of the old city. This is another visit to an airbase. Last year, I think, Karina, we had a visit to, was it your year? Yeah, we had a visit. Last year, we had a visit to an airbase.
Yeah, we did it in the spring. And I want to add like a few comments about what makes these, we have, I don't know if Anat mentioned, like weekly trips to various parts of the countries. It in a way, it contextualizes what you're learning in the classroom. So like in the first semester, you take a course on the Arab-Israeli conflict and understanding where, seeing with your eyes the 1948 line, the 1967 line, how these have been negotiated, renegotiated. So I think it wraps up to, which I'll emphasize later, that there's a limitation to what your textbooks can really teach you about a subject. And if you have the opportunity by living somewhere that can, situating yourself in a place that can, elevate that conversation, question what you see on the news, what you've been told by prior professors, or what you see in your textbooks. It's a holistic way of, it's making your education very holistic, I guess I want to say.
This happens to be the Merkava, which is the Israeli tank we developed here in this country. And they were in action. It wasn't last year, but it was taken, I don't know, 3 years ago, one of the classes. This is another trip we took to the Syrian border, Lebanon border, and wreckage with the Israeli flag right there. And, you know, a lot of people know of the kibbutz form of living, that Israel is very unique. It's the only place in the world where they actually practiced living together in a community where everything is shared and everything is totally equal. So we had a chance to visit one of the kibbutzim. This is on the Lebanese border. And yeah, I'm responsible for ordering food. So this is simulation week. Actually, the last couple of days are very formal, where we're all dressed up, and the students actually negotiate and play roles of different countries in the Middle East. We always have an interesting discussion and trying to find a solution to some issues we created. It's a simulation week. And
yeah, so like last year, the simulation talked about, it was the case of Iran and whether or not how states would react if they were to carry on with nuclear proliferation. So we had different European states, China, the US, and just giving a simulation of what those responses from those states would be. And yeah, it's a lot of fun to see your classmates or to actually apply the theories and the case studies that we learned throughout the academic year in this 1 week, as like Anat mentioned.
So this is how it looks at the end of the year. We have flags from all over the world, and as you see, each one of the students is getting a role, and they're just playing their act and trying their best to use everything they learned in order to negotiate some settlement. And at the end of this wonderful year, it's going to be exciting and very intense, I would say. We have a ceremony, although it's not a graduation, like you don't get your diplomas because you're not going to be done at the end of August with all your academic requirements. And some of the students will go on for, as Karinna did, to their thesis track. But we do like to celebrate, so we have an end of the year ceremony, and it's always a lot of fun as well. So that's just you know, something to visualize, but I would be more than happy to get and to have any question answered. Anyone? Sandra, did you have?
Yeah. So I'm quite interested in theory and methodology, and I actually want to follow the thesis track. I'm just wondering if the program has a strong focus on theory and methodology, or it's rather practical. As what I've seen, it's rather practical, but we can mix both, right?
Yes.
Theory,
well, I want to, you know, as much as I like to always stick practice. So as much as I always like to make sure that you guys do not just get the theoretical part. Tel Aviv University is one of the better, maybe really top schools in these areas. First of all, Israel is a very strong in the cybersecurity, in security in general. So this is a very academic year. It's an academic degree. It's not, we're not fooling around. Everything that we do is to cater to your academics. So a lot of our students, besides the fact that you will, if you choose to, you may take the thesis track, and then you'll have one of our professors actually guide you, check with you, and help you put together a good work, thesis, and Karina, I'm sure you can testify to it. You will stay longer if you need to in Israel. You will have to, in order to get into the thesis track, you have to have a certain GPA. We don't accept everyone, it's not automatic. And in order to give you the tools for the research itself, we have a method research course that you're going to have to complete prior to starting your thesis. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, Sandra, like I think within the curriculum, there is a healthy balance between theory and methodology or case studies. So yeah.
Sandra, where are you from? Peru?
I have your question.
So
Okay.
I'm from Mexico. I'm from Mexico.
Oh, from Mexico. Oh, okay. I thought
Yes.
I thought
So
I saw
I'm
your.
from Mexico, and yeah.
Have you already applied?
Yes, indeed. I started the application, but I am missing still the TOEFL or IELTS test. I am just waiting for the English test and scores.
All right. Okay.
Yes, and of course the my grades. So the translation, the transcript of my grades, it's still not ready, but I hope to have that on time.
By the way, you don't have to translate it. You can just send it in your language, and we have people here who can, as long as it's official transcript, you can upload it. Jabin, you had a question.
Perfect.
Yes, I have a question. My question is, people who are studying in this degree, they have the strong curriculum in their bachelor degree, like law, BA in law, BA in politics, BA in political science, or some computer science. But I'm a science student, but this is difficult to apply here because I have the interest in the strategic studies, as well as I see the nuclear policies. This is one of the research line. That was I read everything, and it's inspired me. And from my childhood, this was my inspiration to work along this. So what my plan is to be a diplomat and a scientist. So so like a coin, have both tail and head. So in this way, so I see the testimonials of the people who are graduated, and they have a strong foundation from law, politics, and everything. So in this criteria, how I can survive in this degree without having any knowledge in international law, politics, because I see the students who are
Well, you know, we are aware that people are coming from different backgrounds. We have law students, we have people who come from really all walks of life, and our courses are going to allow you to get the tools you need. So international law is a course we're giving, but it's catered to people who do not have a law background. So you will be able to fill in the gaps and
okay. I mean, I need to fill the gap of the whatever
yeah.
I don't studied. So
No,
another thing is
as long as your English is good enough and you come to class, you read the materials, you should be able to do well. And of course, our professors are very
I
close to
understand.
our students. They would help you. There's not a question you have and they're not going to answer.
Okay. My English is good, and I see that they will teach the Hebrew and the Arabic class. So this is another thing, because I
Jamie,
don't speak these languages, Arabic.
you sent us everything via email, but you never opened the portal, right?
Portal of the application of scholarship.
No, you've never opened a portal online.
No, I applied. I applied, and the status is prospects. Application status. I applied.
But you haven't paid the application fee.
Yes.
Not yet. Okay.
I will complete this very soon, because
Okay.
I'm waiting for this long day to have a discussion like this.
Okay, so a couple of things I want to put out here. First is that Tata for Indian students. I'm not sure. Are you from India?
Yes.
There's a scholarship that is available now for Indian students, so you might want to check into that. And also, everyone else, I just want you to know that due to Corona, the university has a special fund for the coronavirus crisis, but you have to be accepted to the program and you have to apply by the end of June. So by July 1st, it has to be all done and ready to go. So if you're serious about it and you're really interested, please take advantage of that scholarship, okay?
Okay, but I received the email today itself. The deadline was extended to July 20 of the scholarship.
Oh, the Corona scholarship?
Yes, the Tata scholarship.
Oh, Tata, yeah, Tata, right. Yeah, but the Corona scholarship is only till the end of the month.
End of this June.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't see any information about this Corona scholarship, anything in the website.
So once you apply, you formally apply, then you'll get all this information. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else has a question?
Hello, my camera isn't on because I have some internet issues. My name is Dylan. I am from Argentina.
Hi,
and
Dylan.
I have a question related to, well, to coronavirus. Here in Argentina, well, now in Latin America and in America, we are having like the epicenter of the crisis. And I don't know when I will be able to go to Israel or to other places. So I don't know how the schedule is going to be related, when it's going to start or how it's going to work.
Yeah, you know, that's the million-dollar question. I think if you and I would know, Dylan, we'll be millionaires. Who needs to go to school? This is our plan. We are going back to the classrooms from this summer. We actually have 2 classes back in school already, but they're small classes, they're seminars. Other than that, we are planning to be able to teach on campus again at the end of this month. Of course, we're going to have to comply with the health department, and we're going to wear masks, and we are going to have to, you know, keep the students apart in the classroom, and you know, all the washing hands and all that good stuff. We are hoping that by October, you know, borders will open up a little easier. Maybe people will need to be quarantined. We have a special section here at the university, so if indeed you will need to be quarantined for 2 weeks, we will take care of it. You will have a place to stay, it's going and food to eat, and it's going to be, you know, on us.
Okay.
God forbid something happens, and you know, the problem with this is really nobody knows. They don't know what to do. They don't know how long it's going to stay. They don't know how, how soon they're going to have a vaccine and all those questions. But as a university here, because we look very, with a lot of seriousness at our communication and relationship with other people in the world, the International Student Office is very strong on making everything we can so you guys will feel good here, and that, we do not stop anything. We want to continue. It's very important to the university that we will have students from all over the world come.
Yeah, and I'm going to attest to that on 2 points in terms of COVID and how like the international office was in conversation with the international students. They constantly emailed us at least once a week to tell us weekly updates, what's going on, what to expect. Made a concerted effort to say that they would, if we need anything, please reach out. And I think that speaks to not just this moment specifically, but in general, the international office does a very good job of answering your emails and helping you academically, socially, and just making your time here in Israel a lot smoother. And adding to the international aspect, one thing that I think is so beautiful about this specific program is how international it is. Last year we had people, we had a few from the US, but one from Singapore, Mongolia, Brazil, and tons from Europe, and Scotland, and these are the top of my head right now, Nigeria. It's this really, yeah, you get this very global, you get this classroom of people coming from all parts of the world, and giving their life experiences, giving their own views of how their country deals with security and diplomacy. And it's a place that really breeds a form of analytical thinking for you to negotiate and renegotiate how you see the world, how you see the role of security and diplomacy in state affairs.
Also, Dylan, I wanted to express why to me it's so important that you guys will physically be here, because the experience of being in Israel is so much stronger, and makes a lot more. And we dealt with Corona pretty well. We're under 300 dead, which is pretty incredible. But I think that you will never forget the year here if you guys were to attend. It's just a once in a lifetime experience to be here, to go through this unbelievable journey, really, and academically be open to, I always say that I will never look at the news again the same way I did before I took this this year here and did this program. So highly recommended. Any other questions? By the way, we had, just to be practical about it, we had Zoom teaching throughout this semester. So as of middle of March, we moved to Zoom and it went smoothly. But it's just that we like to have the one-on-one, the face-to-face, and the experiences of living in Israel. So, yeah.
What do people do for housing?
We have a couple of options. One is if you are to be registered, accepted, you can require to live in the dorms here. Did you live in the dorms, Karina?
When I studied abroad, but like you could either live in the dorms, they provide that, or you can live outside the city. It comes out to be around the same amount.
Around the same amount. Of course, the big plus of living by the university is the fact that you can walk to the library, you can walk to classes, and it's pretty nice. Living in Tel Aviv is a different, you might find yourself merging a little bit more with the social life of Tel Aviv, which is by itself an unbelievable experience. It really is the city that never sleeps.
Yeah,
So,
from a student perspective,
we'll also help you with some links and stuff if you were to live in the city and not use the dorms. But for us, it's whatever's good for you is good for us.
Thank you.
Sure.
I have a question related to accommodation. I saw that there are some scholarships related to tuition fee or some helps, but I didn't saw any specific scholarship for accommodation or help living there. I don't know if there is one.
No, there isn't, unfortunately. But, there are different scholarships going around, and especially this year. So our cost just for the degree itself is, as you know, 16,500. There are scholarships. The Corona scholarship is up to 5,000, which is a third of the money. But it's only for students that have a GPA of 85%, 85 out of 100 or more. So make sure you're aware of that. But for Latin America, I know there's a special scholarship. So look on the TAO International website. And as I said before, the TAO for Indian students is a great thing that is all of a sudden became available. It wasn't available before. So there are quite a few options. I know that last year they had a really nice Latin American fund. So check it out. But again, you have to apply, you have to submit your transcripts and all the information that is listed on the website. We have to accept you, and then you can, apply for those scholarships. So although everything was postponed this year, we're still, the time is running out. We still need, it takes time for us to accept the student, to go through all the phases that, and then the head of the program needs to accept you. So it takes time. So if you're serious about it, I encourage you to go ahead and start your application.
Great, thanks.
Sure. Anything else?
Anat, we have a question. There's a question that someone submitted.
Oh.
Will we have an entrance exam? China now has an IELTS indicator and multi-country tests. Which one does this major recognize? If we go to graduate school,
So
is it difficult to go on to get a PhD in this major?
I haven't heard the last part of the question, but English test, we are accepting the Duolingo this year, which we usually do not, just because we're aware of the issues with taking tests at this point. Those who studied a full degree in English are automatically exempt, and of course, people who come from English-speaking countries are exempt. So you should be able to take an online English test, and if you pass it, we'll accept it this year. Corona is not only bad, but what I do recommend is, all lectures and all the readings are in English. So if your English is needs a little help, take your time now and sit and improve your English. So it will be easier for you to study.
I need to ask you something.
Sure.
Actually, I had 9 years of English experience. As you see my transcripts, it's mentioned every transcript mode of instruction is English. So am I exempted or waived from English exams?
Yes, if you
This is my
completed a degree in English, you're exempt from English, right?
yes, but India is not English speaking country. That is one you need to think about that, because I
It,
see the
it will be
website. It says,
indicated. I don't want to take everyone's time, but it will be indicated on your degree. If you studied it in English, then you, the registrar at the university will exempt you.
that is very good, good for me.
Mhm. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, I have another question. For some graduate degrees, there are requirements to submit at least an interest topic of what we want to study or what we want to write or research about. Do I also have to submit my my topic or my research interest in advance, or is that something that I have to
No, we
find out
actually,
later?
yes, we would like you to actually go throughout the year and start developing your interests, and it can change from, you know, as you go along and you learn new things, you might be infatuated by this thing or another, and that's where we want to see you go, because this program will open your mind to different, you know, roads and ideas, and nothing has to be decided in advance at all. And you don't have to obligate to the thesis track till later in the year. So you can decide at the beginning that you want to do it and then say, you know what, I don't really need it. I'm not going to do my PhD, or some countries don't even require thesis track for PhD. So it's totally up to you. You will receive a master's degree whether you take it or not.
And I want to add to that, Anat. So like I went in thinking that to do thesis, I knew I wanted to do it something within maritime. Wasn't sure if I wanted to take a more like a policy or law oriented angle at it. And then the summer semester, I took a class on cybersecurity policy. So, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating that before I had studied international relations, but we had never, this was the first time that I had, you know, understood or was learning about cybersecurity from an international relations perspective. And that really influenced my decision to take that pivot towards my thesis. So to add what Anat was saying is that, you know, you may go in with one idea, but a course might, you know, provoke a thought or think like, wow, how did I not think of it in this way? And maybe lead you to another angle.
We actually really want it to happen. So
yeah, that's great, because it's my thesis is pretty much the same as Karina. I have like something I want to focus on, but I know that the possibility is very wide. So I don't want to submit an idea that necessarily guides me through the program in this sense. So I want to be open. That was my main concern, that if I have to stick to a topic, but that's great that I don't have to, because I want to understand a bit more before writing a thesis in this topic. So that's
okay. Anybody else?
Yes, for Karina Moreno, had you studied cyber policies before you joining this degree, any M.A? Had you studied about cyber security or something before you joining this degree in your BA or in your bachelor degree?
Yeah, so I had just mentioned that my first degree was in international relations, and I had not looked at cybersecurity from an IR policy perspective. And this was the first, like that's what this program offered. I mean, I interned at the Cyber Research Center, and it gave me a context for it prior to taking this class, but did I have, and obviously I read online, different articles, news articles, but had I conventionally learned it in a classroom? No, not until I took this, did this program at TAU.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I have another question.
Sure.
Do you have a list of books that we have to read to prepare for the semester?
No.
Something? Okay.
No, what we are trying to use as little paper as possible. Everything is online. You will be connected to a Moodle according to your schedule and the classes you will take. The professors will load all the materials for the reading on those Moodles. So you will be sitting at your own comfort computer or at home and read the materials from there.
Hi, it's Bart again. Just a follow-up question about what we're on right now. Is there, and I may have missed this when I was completing the application process, but are there specializations within the program? You're mentioning, we're discussing cybersecurity, but are there?
Yes. So the program is built out of 9 mandatory courses, and we offer, this year we offered 8.
I can't see your face.
Oh, maybe that's better. Better now? Like that? All right, better? Yeah. So let me go back. There are 9 mandatory classes that are mandatory to all our students. And each student has to complete 3 more seminars. We offered 8 options this year for different seminars, and the seminars are, as we mentioned, cybersecurity. We have a seminar that has to do with moral terrorism and the morality around terrorism. We have a seminar about Israel and the Middle East and what's going on there. I mean, the connection between the United States and Israel, that's a different seminar as well. We have a whole seminar about China, who is becoming such an important part of the world. And we'll learn a little bit about China and its advances, and very, very interactive. What else do we have in we have a very, very important seminar that I highly recommend, and that's negotiation skills. We learn about negotiations, we learn about different cultures and how they negotiate, and you just get tools for life to know how to negotiate in life. And we all negotiate whether if we pay attention or not. When we buy a car, and when we make a deal and we buy a house, and bringing it to the diplomatic side of things, we negotiate between countries, and you know, so that's another seminar. And what else? Let me look at the schedule. Mentioned that. We had an interesting seminar this year. It's called Insurgency and Counterinsurgency, that also talks about powers in the world and how they evolve, and how the tension between different forces in the world work. Let me look. Yeah. So yeah, and because the cybersecurity seminar is extremely popular, we actually offered it during spring and summer, because we like to keep the seminars up to 20 students if we can. So it's you really get to learn one-on-one with the professors.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm looking forward. I'm so happy I got to see you. Didn't hear from everyone, but hopefully feel free to email us anytime. I think that those of you who emailed us see that we're very responsive. Thank you so much, Karina, for joining me. And
yeah, and if you
during
guys
your
have any
time.
other questions, I'm pretty sure there'll be a follow-up email. Maybe Anat can put in my my email, and if you have any questions outside, I'd be more than happy to answer about my experiences and what I recommend about your time potentially in Israel.
Good luck to you all. And again, if things happen and Corona is like second wave, I don't know, it's taking over our lives again, which I personally don't think it's going to happen, but what do I know? Then we will have accommodations for you. So we'll do like we did this semester, we'll do online, but our intention is to have you all here. Okay?
Your presentation is very nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye, thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
If you could share your email would be great.
Here, I'll put my email. Here.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
great.
Do
Thanks.
this. Yeah.
All righty.
Ina.
Great. Thank you very much, Karina.
Yeah, no problem.
Anat.
Bye-bye. See you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.